This is what my daughter would have looked like if she had had the opportunity to grow up. Just look at her. She never got the opportunity to do this. So please, I've asked you before to come forward with a name, anything, even just tell me where she is. You've deprived this child of becoming the woman she could have been. And this is who she could have been.
Ciara will always be 17. I've often tried to picture her older, I can't. Little conversations with her. And I've often looked at dead dresses and wedding dresses and this, well, that'd be nice on her, or this would be, you know. I do not regret 1 second that I had with Ciara Breen.
Of course not.
A second. She was my life, is my life, and always will be. I said once in an interview, I was always known as Ciara Breen's mother. Who am I now? I've lost my whole identity. I haven't.
No.
I'm Ciara's mom and I'm proud of it. For the person who either did it or knows something about it, just come forward. I don't want them particularly jailed or punished or whatever else. I just want to be able to say goodbye properly to Ciara.
Closure.
I just want to say goodbye so I can say hello again.
It was hard. You know, sometimes you'd see it in the newspaper and you'd see stories going up that weren't particularly true, but you'd see the effect it'd have on Bernadette.
It casts a shadow over the family, you know what I mean? And when the Garda would come with more information or got a different lead, we were hoping that it would lead to something.
Ciara Breen was my world. She was a funny, lovely, kind, loving girl. She had her moments like the rest of them. I'm not going to say she didn't. She did. I thought we had a very open relationship. We could talk about anything. We really, really could.
Bernadette got married young. You know, she married maybe 19 years of age. Didn't work out, unfortunately. You know, the husband moved to America. She had Ciara then, and it was great. You know what I mean? She moved into Mum and Dad's house. Ciara grew up there. She lived there till maybe she was about 14, 15 years of age. One big happy family. Mammy just a few more extra spuds in the pot. We loved having her.
Rosaleen Fern is Animdom, smúcher Ciara me. Bhí Ciara mar dalta san anad seo. Cailín an jazz a bhíonn si, agus réiti si go maith leis na dalta eile. Bhí si beag an cúlach ó am go ham.
Wog Ciara agus Bernadette isteach an na dachain ar hiúlán na Bachelor in Louth necha sa cehad.
Bernadette did spoil Ciara. You had all of the modern CDs. She had lovely clothes. She was taken to Florida. They were in Disneyland before. There was plans to go back, and there was big preparations for it. And Ciara was all excited about it. I remember, I don't know if the tickets were actually bought, but I remember them planning always to go back. But they never got there.
Well, my name is Sarah Coburn, and I would be Ciara Breen's first cousin. Ciara was 17. It's the age where you kind of want to rebel and get out with your friends, and it's just unfortunate that young people don't realise how dangerous the world actually is, and even in today's world, how dangerous it can be.
Ciara, a year before, had fallen in with, I don't like to say a certain crowd, but she did. They were too streetwise for her. You know, Ciara had no street smarts. Ciara could never see the wrong in anybody. It was always, oh, God help her, mummy.
Did you
know
talk
this.
to her about that? Did you say, look, I don't like the company you're keeping?
I did.
She wanted to grow up too quick, Ciara. And Bernadette wanted to grow up too quick, but Bernadette wasn't well at the time she disappeared. He wasn't fit to run after her. Ciara was leaving the house, didn't know where she was going, didn't know who she was with. It was easy for someone to come in there and maybe take advantage of that.
Unfortunately, she met in with this person who became a suspect in her murder and disappearance.
Is Kevin Lum na roughly? Bhí rafla an goróisí a gadrah le farnaí sinne, agus beidir gur dhéann sé jogardaí.
Bhí áras ón tús faoi ar dar bhainm Liam Mullen, agus córsan béaldar is dá riire a bathé le Ciara agus a máthair. Fear fósta a ba Liam Mullen, bhí sé na trochadaí, agus ban an óg nó détarrá gur páiste a bhíonntí, nuair a bhí siad I gadrah de haisaigen le chéile.
She had been wayward and that she had been, let's say, targeted by the likes of Liam Mullen, who used to bring her for walks down the railway line and bring her drinking. And, you know, she would have been in her school uniform at the time.
Bhí scéal ag mórthair Ciara go dánach sé ag an doras ag leabhart le Ciara. Agus gur chur mórthair Ciara Bernadette ó thuras é, mar go rós aici go raibh sé róthain agus nár haithan le mórthair Ciara go raibh sé caint le Ciara.
Ba ihe an tríú lá déag de bhí feabhran 1997, an ihe ribh láil le Valentine, an nuair dhearnach a chonachas Ciara Breen beo.
Ní dóigh liom go raibh in difriocht intí an lá sin. Chonaic si isteach an tráthnóna sin sa seomra agus bhí si ar a suimhneas, bhí si ag caint liom, agus seo bhí si ar a suimhneas an lá sin.
Ciara did go missing before. I don't know the space of time. It might have been 2 or 3 days. My wife, Gina actually went into the house with Bernadette and opened the front door, and Ciara was standing in the hall. And Gina turned around to Bernadette and said, I'll leave you to it, and went. So whatever happened, they had to talk, and I'm sure it wasn't pleasant.
Tugan máthair Ciara anna chuntas dúin ar an láir fád a chaisí le Ciara. Dis siad béle deas in san Roma an seo láir an bhaile, agus chaisí den tróna fechant ar an telefís.
She wanted to tape Circle of Friends that night on the TV with Chris O'Donnell. She liked Chris O'Donnell, he's an actor. She got the tape ready. She wrote on the tape, Circle of Friends, Ciara Breen's tape, do not touch. Chris O'Donnell, I love you, and put it into the recorder to tape it. Now, that was at 8 o'clock. Does that sound like a girl that was going to go out and not come back?
So we went to bed, and she just turned around to me. She said, are you worried about tomorrow, Mum? And I went, not one bit. I was going for cancer results. She said, well, if you're not worried, I'm not worried. And I said, don't worry about anything, Pat. You're not getting rid of me that easy. Little realising how apt that sentence would become.
Cheap Bernadette gneacha sí a lí ach deir sí arís. Deir sí a cuid éadaí agus thug sí le gúna a bhí ceannatha ag an máthairtí le golar Ciara.
I got up and I looked into her room. She was gone. I thought she was downstairs, so down I went into the sitting room. But the sitting room window was open, where she went out the window so I wouldn't hear the front door. So I got myself ready in the armchair, and I sat in the armchair waiting for that leg to come through the window, but it never came.
Bhí Ciara teachta Nineveh nuair d'imime sí ar ire agus is dóil an beidir go bhfuil sí róite ag 7 bliain na déag, mar cé go gapan daoine go bhfuil sí caiilte ní bhuatha sa corp bríomh.
Growing up, it would be obviously very hush-hush. So I was in secondary school before Bernadette actually completely opened up to me about it. I always knew that there was always something missing. Like when I was a young age, you know, you'd see pictures of Ciara and sometimes I'd be confused because I never seen the daughter. So obviously when Bernie did tell me, obviously I was a wee bit interested. She just basically said that Ciara went missing, which I knew, but she told me that she snuck out of the window and obviously she told me the stories that were going around and not for me to believe the stories that were going around in the media.
We wanted to be strong for Bernadette. Beforehand, we'd say Eton at any time. But then, when all this happened, we wouldn't talk we were afraid to talk about it in front of Bernadette. But Bernadette wanted us to do that. She found strength from us talking about it.
It never ever leaves you. Like, I was very angry for about 9 years. I thought I hid it well, but I hadn't it hid as well as I thought I had it hid. I hated to cry in front of people. I cried on my own.
I rámhíle sa ceithrdéag, chláchan bleachtar Pat Mary shellah ar an imscrúdú ar chás Ciara Breen.
Ah, yeah, Bachelor's Walk. I guess I'll remember this street. We knew the suspect and Ciara lived on the same street, and we had statements indicating that they had met in the laneway behind their house. Now we know that she got out the front window because that's the one her mother discovered was open. That night, after getting onto the street, did she go back up here and meet Mullen? We don't know, we just don't know. But we do know, and we have it from statements, that at 1 o'clock in the morning, she was seen in Balmer's Bog with Mullen. Unfortunately, she met the wrong man that night, and things didn't go the way that she maybe had planned. So, God love her. That's all I can say is God love her, you know.
Like that night, Bernadette went to bed. Ciara just went out the window and went up Bachelor's Walk, met somebody. Somebody said she got into a car there in Compraston Street and went away.
I phoned Dublin to council, and the receptionist said, Mrs. Breen, the doctor really needs to speak to you this morning. Please, if you can make it, please don't. So I knew going to Dublin that morning I had cancer.
In aion na búirte a bhí ar faoi Ciara, chlí Bernadette ar a hathad agus tír siad í a hamans go bailach lia dá cunne.
I don't think it's sunk in. I remember Bernadette saying to me that the doctor was looking at her, as I say, it went over her head. It was okay, but Bernadette was thinking all the time about where Ciara is. You know, I don't think she heard the word cancer. No one knew she wasn't home. It was only when Daddy took her back home and she wasn't there that Bernadette told Daddy that she wasn't there last night. She didn't come home last night. And as far as I know, that's when the Garda were alerted. Whether it was Valentine's Day, 1997. You know.
Aníthe rih lá le Valentine, dá Ciara atach tríd an bhinneog. Agus tháinig si go dtí an lána seo, áit ar athraigh si chuid éadaí, go dtí gúna nua a fuair a máthairtí, sular raidí se léhann dí saoire le chéile. Cuineam ar cailíní óga a propáil de lá le Valentine, agus an smaoine bhar an dáta, ach ní chuine si riamh nach deochach si rás ó níthe sin.
Nuair a thula mé nach raibh siad an an Ciara a amsú bhí imní orm, ach cheapmid beidir go mbeidh siad an an í a amsú áitéagan. Bhí cáirde Ciara ag caint fuaí beagnach gach lá. Thosaigh siad ag ceistú cá raibh si, cén áit a bhí si, ar thula mé in rud fuaí. Ní raibh mé ábalta na ceistena sin ar agart, agus bhí sé sulir dom go raibh siad burtha agus trína céile.
Tá gnáam sin an 1997, ní ró fón póca ag daoine, agus chomá lei sin ní ró na meanthó síalta an. Dá dáirláid sé nniu go nimóch den éigean cosa le Ciara ar iarra. Churach Anna Fráin dul tríd meanthó síalta an chailín seo, le fechant an ró si caint le aon duine árasach nó beidir duine a ró caidrih eici leo. Níor tharla sé sin mar nach ró an tafad sin an, agus dá réir nuair a Jimmy si gan tasc ná gan tuairisc.
The guards at the time were able to establish that she was meeting a guy called Mullen that she had a relationship with. So he became a person of interest of him very early on. There was graffiti around the town in certain places. Ciara loves Liam and Liam loves Ciara and this type of stuff, like, you know. Ciara's two friends, she confided in them before she went missing. I'm getting out the window tonight and I'm meeting Liam Mullen.
Nuair a leabhar na Gardaí le mrá eile a ró Liam leo I gadramh, dúirt siad go raibh míompar ar siúl ag Liam, go raibh faitís ar na mrá roimh Liam agus go mbíodh sé ar a laiad bagarthach leo.
In aion go raibh búrtha faoi chaidreamh Liam Mullen le Ciara. Ní rá a dóhann fine se an le duine a ghabháil ag an trá sin. Mar sin hain, leanú ar aghaidh leis an gcuardach de Ciara.
Le huimeacht ama bhí mar ar fad burtha faoi Ciara. Bhí is ágin nach an saoas cailíní a MOí gan aon rud a rá ach go háirithe gan aon rud a rá lena chairde. Bhí mar ar fad trína chéile chun é a léamh sa fápéir. Bhí sé dochreide.
My eldest was only 3.5 at the time, and I remember Gina walking the streets, pushing the pram, calling the houses, calling the B&Bs, going down to the docks, just checking ships, just having them in your head. You'd done it. I can just remember the sense, it wasn't frustration, right? But it was just a frustration of panic. Because you have to find her now. I mean, around her different friends, people that she may know, you're only guessing because we didn't know who she was palling around with. We really didn't. Time went by, we were scratching our head and we were just afraid for her.
Faoi an eibríocht trace, tugadh faoi achtas mór meán commerceáide chun achanaí dhéanana ar a bobbal ólas a thuairt. Tháinig bean chun tosaí le rá go ruairt Liam Mullen lethe go rosaige cén áit a rá Ciara Breen. Bhuí duna eile go rá an chuma go raibh sé as a bheabhar in í Ciara. Bhí an aonaise ag fás agus ag fás de réir a chéile.
In 1999, he was arrested on suspicion of murder, and he was questioned at length and declined to cooperate. He did make a comment that he said, would I be charged with murder? I shouldn't be charged with murder for what I did. So that was an element of having a knowledge of what happened to Ciara, and he wouldn't say any more, and that was it. So he was released from custody, and in effect, the case lay there on the books as an unsolved crime.
I don't remember a specific point. I just remember time passing by, and Bernadette being up the walls. There was a very hard time for her, as you can imagine.
She did come on air to talk about Ciara back in 2011. You know, Bernadette nearly broke down in the studio. I mean, there's very few interviews that are so personal. There's no other interview that is as personal as losing your own child and not knowing the circumstances.
I don't want to beg, but I will. I'm begging whoever has whatever information that the Garda need. If you want me to get down on my knees, I'll get down on my knees. Please, please let her come home.
We were hoping that she'd just show up. As I said before, open the front door and see her standing there. Now, we honestly started to believe in questions that maybe she run away with a fella to England or run away with a fella down to Cork or Kerry or wherever. Or she might arrive back with a child or something. Maybe she was pregnant and she'd done a runner. She was embarrassed or was afraid to tell anybody. And all these conversations happened.
Well, some of the rumours are mad, but at the end of the day, something did happen. And there's only a few people who do know what happened. And it's very hard to make a judgment on that without people actually coming and speaking up.
Le breis agus fiche blian, tá teilech Ciara Breen ag maireachtáil leis an éigínteacht maidir le céir de hálaide nuair a d'imime sí amach faoin go tí in nún Dalgan in 1997.
Níl me jawad an seo ó náit a neachig Ciara ar Iara. Tá muid Garda an teach, tá muid Garda an bhalla. Smaoiníam ar chailech Ciara, agus iad a chomáint thar an droichead seo, thar an gcuirteach seo, gach seachtain nó b'éidir gach lá, agus iad an amhras an bhfuil sin seo nó nach bhfuil, agus b'éidir nach bhfuil siad amach riamh an bhfuil a curp an seo. Tá sé sin anna fion bhar.
Le himimecht na mblianta, dhealra sé nach dóigh go bhfuithí Ciara beo a ríist. Fírinne lom a ghail go mór ar a máthaid Bernadette.
Bernadette used to carry a little weight, but she lost it. She got very drawn, you know, in her face, turned grey. The cancer didn't help. As she spoke, you could hear a quiver in her voice. She came in on herself. She stayed at home, put a candle in the window, hoping for news. Ciara was born in June '97, and Ciara was meant to be her godmother. And when all this happened, eventually Bernadette ended up being her godmother.
I had a very strong connection with Bernie. She was like my second mommy. So obviously she had a lot of nieces and nephews. It's just, so everyone was there for her. But I just felt like I wanted to make her okay, because trying to think that she did for everyone else, I thought it was good to make her feel okay.
Ciara never got the opportunity to get married, have children of her own, or for me to have grandchildren. I'm not particularly interested in getting whoever did it anymore. I just want Ciara home. No parent should have to bury their child, but I want to do it because it's the last thing I can do for her.
Listening back to Bernadette's interviews, she was sure that there were people out there that she was talking to that knew exactly what she was talking about. Why else would she go on radio? You're hoping that Bernadette will get the news that makes her happy again, because she obviously kept that sadness like a cloak around her.
Cuireadh tús le himscrúdú úr chás Ciara 2014. Faoi steoir an bhleachtere Ciara Pat Mary agus an bhleachtere Garda Brendan Duffy. I bhíonna sin na gúntí a bhain le Ciara imeacht ar iarra, rana siad daile leis an gás mar thúnmharú.
Poor Ciara, oh my God. I pulled out all the stops to solve that one. Really, I felt so sorry for the girl, and the more I investigated, the more I found out about her personally. And I just felt sorry for her, I really did, and I wanted to find her.
And if anything comes out of this, I would like it to be yes for whoever has the information we need for Ciara to give it. Please, please, don't let her lie out there on her own anymore. Let her come home.
Nuair a tharla an clár sin, tháinig daoine chun tosaigh I litreacha chuig na Gardaí. Tháinig sé amach go raibh daoine in áras faoin 6 duine a bheith Liam Mullen. Tugadh le fios ag an am go raibh Liam Mullen a ggóil I deach tarne in Dundalk an ihe go neachcha crime call amach ar an telefís. Agus nuair chríochnig an chlár, gur heas sé sús agus go nuirt sé nach ducach Ciara arás agus dóg sé an pub go Dublin.
He was arrested and brought in. We had a monitored interview. You could see he was very uncomfortable, and he started putting his hands to his head when the questions were asked, where is she, and like, did you kill her? And he was crying. He got down on his knees and he was sobbing. I was saying that I knew he was going to tell us the truth. He's going to come out with it. And then his solicitor called and they wanted to see him. And after that, he didn't make any comment. He was no comment, everything after that. So it was very close to getting some sort of an admission, but look, that was it. He was released without charge at that stage, but he was always someone that was there.
Terrace Liam Mullen a bheith gafad an dara úr. Bhain treo seller a bháin leis an bhíanaise.
We were able to establish that he had said to people, I could put someone in that bog and they'd never be found. He said to a younger girl, if I don't get what I want off her, I'm going to put her in with the other one. But then we had a good breakthrough where we discovered a witness who came forward saying that Lee Mullen's friend had told him that Lee Mullen was with Ciara that night down at Balmer's Bog at the railway track on the night she went missing. And we also had a witness to say that she was down that night and she saw Ciara being chased by a man. All that was said to us was leading us to Balmer's Bog.
18 years and 6 months since she disappeared, the biggest search in the investigation into the disappearance of Ciara Breen is underway in marshland close to Dundalk Garda station.
Tá Balmer's Bog lonathe in aice leis an stáisiún tréineacht. Tá sé in aice le pobanní go leor, tá sé díreach buailte imil an bhaile hain. Dá réir bheocht daoine is siúil Harris an áit go minic gach lá cinnte.
Lá an se bhí an nuair a tháinig an gléicrú Pat Mary chun press agalú a dhéanú I Bórtach Balmer. Is ceann lom ag swinú go raibh sé seo mór, go gcaithfí siad ólas nua a bheith acu faoi Ciara agus cá Róisí, bhí siamh an curdaí cósceardúil sin. Is ceann lom dul arás go dtí an teomar nuachta agus ag scríomh I Merle. Is this a breakthrough that the family of Ciara Breen have been waiting for 20 years?
The bog was 17 acres big. We concentrated in the 2 acres, which we believed we would have found her. There was a lot of drains within the bog, and we could see drains near where Ciara had been seen last with Lee Mullen. I'm just thinking about the task we'd undertaken to search. My God, it was mammoth. I'm looking now at what we had to do, the costings, the organising manpower, making sure everything was searched, every scoop of soil was gone through, you know, and then you'd have days when guys, well, I can't make it in, I'm sick or this, and we have to get replacements, and then a JCB would break down and we'd have to get that repaired and that would have to be looked after, and it never was just straightforward. We discovered that illegal dumping had taken place and tons and tons and tons of rubble had been put into the drains. And the anthropologist told me, she said, Pat, I don't like to break the bad news to you, but you're now looking, you won't find bones in here now because they will be all crushed into dust. And I said, well, I ain't giving up, we're going to continue on to see. I just needed something and I was depending on just a little bit of luck, like, you know.
Tugad le fis nuair a bhí an tochailte ar siúl, go raibh Liam Mullen a croch a hart ar an láthair, go bhaca daoine é i siúl Harris an gheata agus a bheith an isteach, níos móna uair amháin cinnte coppla lá. Agus tá daoine an éras faoi iompar sin.
He obviously had an interest, like, you know, in where we were digging and what we were looking for and that, you know, and how we were going about it, obviously, so.
An íche a neacha sí ar ire, meastar gur gúna blábhreach a bhí á chatha ag Ciara. Mar sin, bhí dóchasán ar a amsíú sa fortoch gúna den chineál céanna. Glacú gríon ghreaft an gúna, agus cruad aisce mar aana sé é.
Myself and Detective Garda Brennan Duffy went to Bernadette and asked her to have a look at these photographs and did they mean anything to her. Bernadette looked through the page after page. There was bits of shoes and bits of belts and all types of stuff. And she came to the dress and she looked at it. And she stopped. And I said, God, you know, and she kept looking at it. And then she went on to the next page and she finished out the book. And she says, no, there's nothing there. I said, grand, I said, I have to ask you, I said, about the dress. Oh yeah, that's exactly like Ciara's dress, but there's buttons on that, she had a zip on hers. Now, if she was able to say, yes, that's her dress, I know by it, or whatever, I would have had enough evidence then to be able to represent to the DPP a case to have Lee Mullen charged with the murder. And that's always stuck with me. Like, you know, I said, Jeannie, that's how close, you know.
Ar deire níor tháinig siad ar curp Ciara agus crú deire leis an tochailt cé go raibh ábhar eile agus achar eile le déanamh.
I think we were just looking for closure. Bernie just wanted closure, and I think if anything did come up of the take, we would have been happy in ourselves that Bernie would have got a few answers and just put Ciara to rest.
The icing on the cake would have been to find a bone of Ciara Breen's. Even a toenail would have certainly satisfied me, and, you know, we could have progressed it to a stage of getting someone charged. To think that Ciara's lying here someplace, you know, it gives me an eerie feeling. And, like, you know, I find myself apologising to her for not finding her. But we did try our best.
Gabhadh Liam a rís ina 2017, ach an tam seo gabhadh é mar gur ceapú go raibh sé faoi cheannachar an óil agus é teamáint.
When he was being arrested, he had something in his hand and threw it in his mouth, and he swallowed whatever he had. And the guards believed it was drugs. He was arrested, brought back to the Garda station, and whatever he put in his mouth, they burst in his stomach. And it was believed it was heroin. And he became ill in the station and died. So, you know, that was it. I know Bernadette, when she heard the news, she rang me and she was devastated. She said, I'll never find out where my Ciara is now, like, you know. She says, it's gone, like, you know, and I could see it from her point of view, because she knew, you know, because she told me before she met Mullen on the street, and she said it was just the two of us, and he was coming towards me, and she said, I knew by the way he looked at me, and she said, I could see it written all over him, like, you know.
Ní bhuair Bernadette na freagraí a bhí á lorga cé riamh. For sí bás ar an 8 lás fiche de bhí an bheitheh 2018.
So she passed a week after my 21st. We didn't really know the extent of it. First it was cancer, which we didn't even know because Bernie wouldn't talk about it. I think she was such a strong woman to go through that hardship and to still have such a contagious smile and a warm personality. She's just an amazing woman in my eyes.
Ciara will always be 17. I've often tried to picture her older, I can't. I do not regret 1 second that I had with Ciara Breen. Not a second. She was my life. I'm Ciara's mom and I'm proud of it.
Bernadette was at a loss. Bernadette felt she failed as a mother. And she didn't forgive herself for that. Like, Bernadette used to be Bernadette, but then she became Ciara Breen's mother. You know, and Bernadette lost her identity. It was on her deathbed. I remember my wife saying to her, just seconds before she went, go to Ciara. Seconds before she went. The not knowing is when different things come into your head. This might have happened, that might have happened, this happened. You know, she went out that window to meet somebody that night. But what happened next? My God, I don't want to know that bit. We just want to find her, leave her to rest. You know, because we know she's gone. Deep down, we know.
There is people out there who do know. Obviously, it's very scary to come forward with such information about such a sensitive case. But I would love for them to come forward, just so it's not even about justice or what happened, it's just so we can actually find her and bring her back to Bernie. Because she lived not knowing what happened to Ciara. She died not knowing what happened to Ciara. And if we could just place her at rest beside her, I feel like we'd have a lot of peace throughout the whole family.
That's my daughter there. That's Ciara. She has been lying out there on her own for 20 years. I know she's with God. I have a strong faith, but I'm a mother. To me, she's on her own. She's no one to come to talk to her. She's no one to lay a flower. She's no one to cry at a graveside or anything else. That's why I'm hopeful that you will allow her to come home to the people that love her. And that's why I'm thanking you in advance and why I know that you will come forward. And I thank you for it.